This is our stroller that you can actually attach the car seat to. And there's just like so many different ways that you can do it. It's like there's so much prep before the birth, for all of the gear, and then you leave the hospital and you have this baby and okay, good luck. I mean, there's really no mention of childcare.
Bolling and Mary Keogh are new parents. They have all the gear ready for their new baby, but childcare is the part they haven't figured out.
I feel it's crazy that I feel behind and the baby is not even here yet. Like, I don't even know what our baby's name is or what the gender of our baby is, and I'm stressed out that I'm behind on figuring out their childcare. And to me, it kind of seems a little bit backwards that the baby is not even here on Earth yet, and I'm trying to figure out who's going to watch it.
Bolling says the price is one stressful factor. The average cost for infants in San Diego is around $1,600 a month. The other factor is hoping there isn't a wait list.
I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's just one big math equation, and looking at, we're lucky that at least in our neighborhood, there's a decent amount of kind of at-home daycares that are kind of, one grandma that will watch a few kids.
There are about twice as many young kids in San Diego County as there are childcare spaces available. And in some parts of the county, less than a fifth of kids have an available spot.
Then you also hear about like the wait lists and things like that. And so that's also something that we have to factor in that we haven't really started looking at. And so we might end up being on a wait list for a daycare for a while. And then that will, I don't know what we'll do in the interim. So we'll have to figure that out.
All childcare is hard to find, but for infants, it's almost impossible. Providers are limited by the number of infants they can take in, leaving new parents like Bolling with few options.
I love where I work. I would love to continue working there. But complete honesty right now, looking at the math of having a baby in childcare, either I will probably maybe stop working for a little bit to stay home and take care of the baby, or I've kind of started looking at other jobs.
Bolling says she doesn't know what resources are available to families just starting out.
Together, our income is above the threshold for the assistance for my job and for the state subsidy, and so we don't qualify for a lot of those. And so, yes, there are those resources out there, but we don't qualify for those. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, oh yeah, we have money just like flying out of our pockets and this is easy. So we still have to kind of try to figure out how to navigate that. And I haven't really found a lot of resources for that middle of the road.
Well, the childcare system, unfortunately, is very difficult to access. It is expensive for parents, and oftentimes the hours that are available don't meet the needs of families.
Kim McDougall and Courtney Baltiski are with the San Diego County YMCA. They hear of families like the Keoghs on a daily basis.
We also know that for infants and toddlers, there's a really great lack of care available. We only have enough licensed capacity for about 95% of infants and toddlers in our community. So if you have a new baby, it is really difficult to even find a slot, let alone be able to pay for it. The cost of care for a baby can be up to $19,000 a year. So you are starting off with your new child paying college level tuition. And oftentimes when we have young children, we're early in our careers and we're younger, and so we don't have the financial means to do that. So it's a difficult landscape for parents.
At a time when this family bonding should be a priority, it's one of the most stressful times for a family. And when we think about the business viability of caring for an infant or a toddler, those are some of the most expensive programs and slots to run, because they have to have that really small ratio to provide that really compassionate, intentional care for our littlest friends.
They say the childcare system has been in a crisis for a long time.
There's a bit of a kind of the parents like secret struggle that we were going through. We would talk to each other about it, but our employers didn't know, and it wasn't in the news. It wasn't something that was really well understood.
The pandemic made it worse and showed how essential childcare is.
As everything collapsed during the pandemic, it became very apparent that childcare providers are essential infrastructure for our economy, for our families, for our community, and without them, and without access to this type of care, our entire system is really greatly impacted.
Many childcare providers didn't make it out of the pandemic. 1 in 8 closed between 2020 and 2022, narrowing the search for many parents even more.
As we've seen in recent years, it's just become less and less of a viable business model. As we've seen minimum wage increase and inflation increase in a very high-cost community that we live in here in San Diego County, people are leaving the field. Centers are closing. Family childcare homes are closing because it's not even something that you can choose to do and just make a little bit of money. You have to run your business at a loss.
The centers that did survive then lost many of their 4-year-olds to universal transitional kindergarten funded by the state. 4-year-olds need fewer teachers than infants, so they're cheaper to care for.
In the economics of childcare, you need to have the revenue from 3 and 4-year-olds to be able to offset the high cost of care for infants and toddlers. If you don't have that mixed age group, the economics didn't work well before, but then they really don't work because of the low ratios.
Kim says it's time legislators turn their attention and funding to infant and toddler care. There needs to be a larger supply of infant spots.
And we don't see the supply increasing until we really get that infusion of federal or state funding.
Or until we have paid family leave that
Even
allows parents and caregivers to be compensated to stay home to do that critical work and make a choice on what's best for them in a way that doesn't compromise their income.
But none of those solutions will likely happen anytime soon. Definitely not in time for growing families like the Keoghs. So they're left weighing options. It could mean leaving San Diego.
It's kind of wild that, it's such a natural process and something that we're hardwired as humans to have kids and to, procreate. And then there's this big barrier that you want to do this thing that seems so natural, and then but how do you make it work logistically?